The White House was unusually quiet that evening. The usual bustle of staff members, the hum of distant conversations, and even the occasional laughter of security personnel seemed to have faded. The golden chandeliers cast long shadows across the presidential residence, and somewhere in the distance, the ticking of an antique clock echoed in the hallways. 15-year-old Barron Trump sat on a plush leather chair in his father's private study. His sharp blue eyes studied the room, the heavy oak desk, the framed photographs of past presidents, and the single glass of untouched Diet Coke sitting near a stack of confidential folders. But it wasn't the grandeur of the Oval Office that occupied his mind. It was the expression on his father's face, an expression Barron had never seen before. Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States, sat across from him. His usual confidence, the larger-than-life energy he carried in public, seemed somewhat dimmed tonight. He wasn't wearing one of his signature red ties. Instead, he had on a dark suit with an open-collared white shirt, his famous golden hair slightly disheveled. "Barron," Trump began, his voice lower than usual. "There's something I need to tell you. It's about our family." Barron sat up straight, his heart beginning to race. He had heard many things about his family, some true, some exaggerated by the media. But something about his father's tone made him feel this was different. Trump took a deep breath. "You're at the age now where you need to understand what it really means to be a Trump. What it means to hold power, to make history, to shape the future." Barron remained silent, waiting. His father leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "There's a secret, a Trump legacy that goes back farther than you could imagine. It's something that even the world's most powerful leaders don't know about. And it's going to change your life forever." Barron's throat went dry. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Trump smiled, his classic, knowing smile, but there was something else behind it. A shadow of hesitation. "I'll tell you everything, son. But once you hear this, there's no going back." A cold breeze swept through the room, despite the windows being closed. The weight of the moment was undeniable. Barron swallowed hard and nodded. "I want to know," he said. His father exhaled slowly, nodding. "Good. Because what I'm about to reveal will shake the very foundation of what you believe about our country, our family, and your future." And with that, Donald Trump leaned closer and began to speak. Donald Trump leaned back in his chair, his fingers tapping rhythmically against the polished oak desk. His eyes met Barron's, searching for something, readiness, perhaps. "You've heard about the Founding Fathers, haven't you?" Trump asked, his voice steady. Barron nodded. "Yeah. Washington, Jefferson, Franklin. The guys who built America." Trump smirked. "That's what they teach in school. But there's more to the story, son. Something deeper." He leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "There was a secret society within the Founding Fathers, one that only a handful of presidents ever knew about. A group that shaped this nation, not just through politics, but through something much bigger." Barron's pulse quickened. "What kind of group?" Trump exhaled sharply. "The Sentinels of Liberty. A group of visionaries who knew that America wasn't just another country. It was an experiment, an idea. They believed the world wasn't just driven by wars and economies, but by something hidden, something powerful, a force that only a chosen few could access." Barron's brow furrowed. "What kind of force?" Trump's eyes darkened. "Let's just say history hasn't been written naturally. Wars didn't start by accident. The economy didn't crash on its own. Even elections," he paused, measuring his words, "weren't always won the way the public thinks." Barron swallowed. "You mean?" Donald Trump leaned back in his chair, his fingers tapping rhythmically against the polished oak desk. His eyes met Barron's, searching for something, readiness, perhaps. "You've heard about the Founding Fathers, haven't you?" Trump asked, his voice steady. Barron nodded. "Yeah. Washington, Jefferson, Franklin. The guys who built America." Trump smirked. "That's what they teach in school. But there's more to the story, son. Something deeper." He leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "There was a secret society within the Founding Fathers, one that only a handful of presidents ever knew about. A group that shaped this nation, not just through politics, but through something much bigger." Barron's pulse quickened. "What kind of group?" Trump exhaled sharply. "The Sentinels of Liberty. A group of visionaries who knew that America wasn't just another country. It was an experiment, an idea. They believed the world wasn't just driven by wars and economies, but by something hidden, something powerful, a force that only a chosen few could access." Barron's brow furrowed. "What kind of force?" Trump's eyes darkened. "Let's just say history hasn't been written naturally. Wars didn't start by accident. The economy didn't crash on its own. Even elections," he paused, measuring his words, "weren't always won the way the public thinks." Barron swallowed. "You mean?" Trump nodded. Every president who became part of the Sentinels was entrusted with a secret, one that gave them access to power beyond politics. Some used it wisely. Others, well, they didn't. Barron's mind raced. Are you saying you're part of this? Trump chuckled. I wasn't invited in, if that's what you're asking. Let's just say the Sentinels weren't too happy when I won in 2016. And they really weren't happy when I came back in 2024. Barron's stomach twisted. He had grown up in the spotlight, hearing about the deep state, conspiracy theories, and the unseen hands that controlled the world. But this was different. Trump continued, when I first entered office, I started seeing things, documents, reports, classified files that didn't make sense. But the real proof came when I was approached by someone unexpected. Barron's breath caught in his throat. Who? Trump's lips curled into a knowing smile. Someone you'd never expect to still be alive. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Barron could hear his own heartbeat. His father leaned back, giving him a moment to absorb it all. What I'm about to tell you, Barron, will change how you see everything, including your own future. Barron's hands gripped the leather armrests of his chair. His father had always been a larger-than-life figure, but this was something else entirely. Trump drummed his fingers on the desk, his smirk fading. I met him late one night, about a year into my first term. It wasn't in the White House. It was somewhere else. A place only a handful of people in the world even know about. Barron's mind raced. Who was it? Trump let out a slow breath. John F. Kennedy. Barron's eyes widened. You mean JFK Jr.? Trump shook his head. No, kid. I mean John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. Barron's body tensed. That's impossible. He was assassinated in 1963. Yeah, that's what the history books say. Trump tapped the desk. But here's what they don't tell you. Not everything was what it seemed that day in Dallas. The Sentinels were involved, and Kennedy, he knew too much. Barron's voice wavered. You're saying he survived? Trump nodded. He disappeared. The Secret Service helped cover it up, but not for the reasons you think. The Sentinels of Liberty had turned against him, and he had to fake his death to escape them. And for the past 60 years, he's been living in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. Barron's throat was dry. And he came to you? Trump smirked. He needed me. He said I was the only president in decades who wasn't completely under the Sentinels' control. He told me about a secret, one that only a few men in history have ever understood. Barron's breath was shaky. What kind of secret? Trump's expression grew serious. The key. Barron frowned. The key? Trump nodded. It's not just an object, son. It's something bigger. A source of power hidden in America's foundation. The Founding Fathers built this nation on it, the Sentinels have been guarding it, and now it's in play again. Barron's heart pounded. And you have it? Trump's smile returned. Not yet. But I'm close. And when I get it, well, let's just say the world will never be the same. Barron sat back, his mind spinning. The key, JFK still being alive, a secret society pulling the strings of America, this was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. Trump stood up and walked to the window, looking out over the White House lawn. Son, you're about to become part of something much bigger than you ever expected. And once I tell you the next part, you'll understand why you are more important than you realize. Barron swallowed hard. Why me? His father turned, his face unreadable. Because, Barron, the key was meant for you. Barron felt a chill crawl down his spine. The key was meant for him? His father's words hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy and electric. Trump walked back to his desk and sat down, his fingers steepled. You're probably wondering why, out of all people, it's you? Barron nodded slowly. Yeah. I mean, you're the president. If this key is so important, why wouldn't it belong to you? Trump smirked, but there was something else in his expression, something deeper, more calculated. Because, Barron, I'm not the one who was born for this. Barron's skin prickled. What do you mean? Trump leaned in, his voice steady. Our family history isn't what you think. Sure, people talk about the Trump empire, real estate, business, politics. But there's something the world doesn't know. Barron frowned. Like what? Trump took a deep breath. We aren't just another wealthy family. We're part of something much older. He paused as if choosing his words carefully. Our bloodline connects directly to the Founding Fathers, specifically to Benjamin Franklin. Barron blinked. Franklin? The guy on the $100 bill. Trump grinned. That's right. But Franklin wasn't just a scientist and a statesman. He was a sentinel of liberty. And he didn't just help build America, he hid something inside it. Something only his direct descendants could ever unlock. Barron's heart pounded. And you're saying we're his descendants? Trump nodded. The Trump family name wasn't always Trump. Our ancestors changed it to distance themselves from the secret. But the bloodline never changed. Franklin left behind something, a code, a map, and ultimately, the key. Barron's head spun. And this key, what does it actually do? Trump's eyes gleamed. It's the ultimate source of power. It's something that can change the course of history. The Sentinels have been using fragments of it for centuries to keep control. But the full power of the key? No one has ever possessed it. Because no one but Franklin's true heir can activate it. Barron swallowed hard. And you're saying that's me? Trump nodded. That's why Kennedy came to me. He told me the Sentinels already know who you are. They've been watching you since the day you were born. Barron's hands curled into fists. Then, if they know, why haven't they done anything? Trump's face darkened. Because they were waiting. Waiting for you to come of age. But now that I'm back in office, the clock is ticking. They know we're getting close. Barron sat back, his mind a whirlwind of fear, excitement, and disbelief. Trump leaned forward, his gaze sharp. We don't have much time. You need to decide, Barron. Do you want to claim your legacy, or do you want to let the Sentinels control it forever? Barron took a deep breath. The world he thought he knew had just shattered. But deep inside, something stirred. Something that told him this was just the beginning. Barron's mind raced. His father's words felt like a puzzle piece snapping into place, one that had been missing his entire life. The key. The Sentinels. Franklin. The legacy he never knew he had. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. If I'm the only one who can activate the key, what happens when I do? Trump leaned back in his chair, studying his son. Everything changes. Barron swallowed hard. How? Trump tapped the desk. The key isn't just a physical object, Barron. It's an energy source, an ancient artifact hidden beneath the very foundation of this country. The Founding Fathers built Washington, D.C. around it, embedded its power into the very fabric of America. Barron frowned. You're saying it's buried here? Trump nodded. Deep beneath the city, protected by layers of security, secret vaults, and defenses designed by some of the greatest minds in history. The Sentinels have guarded it for centuries, making sure no one could access its full power. Barron's breath quickened. And what does that power do? Trump's expression grew serious. It allows the one who wields it to reshape history, to influence the minds of men, to bend reality itself. Barron's stomach tightened. You mean like mind control? Trump smirked. Not just that. Time, space, influence, wealth, power. All of it is tied to the key. Barron's head spun. And you want me to find it? Trump's voice was calm but firm. No, Barron. I want us to take it back. Barron's heart pounded. From the Sentinels? Trump nodded. They've used it in small ways for generations, steering elections, wars, economies, keeping the world under their control. But no one has ever fully unlocked it. No one has ever had the true right to wield it. Until now. Barron clenched his fists. And they know we're coming for it? Trump's eyes narrowed. They do. And they won't let us take it easily. A heavy silence filled the room. Barron could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. Finally, he met his father's gaze. What do I have to do? Trump smiled, a slow, knowing smile. First, we find the map Franklin left behind. Then we get to the key before they do. Barron exhaled, his chest tightening. He had spent his life watching his father battle the media, the establishment, the world itself. But this was bigger than politics. Bigger than business. This was about the fate of history itself. And for the first time, Barron understood. He wasn't just a Trump. He was the heir to America's greatest secret. And the battle for the key had just begun.